We'll start with the land acknowledgement. Although we are all joining virtually tonight, we'd like to start this event acknowledging that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. We do pay real rent to the Duwamish, and if you'd like to learn more about whose land you occupy or have occupied, you can visit native-land.ca. So I'll go over our meeting norms next. So please treat each other with dignity and respect. If you don't know the answer to something, please don't be afraid to raise your hand in Zoom and ask. And please be aware of the space that you take up and step up and know when to step back. And remember that everyone here is a volunteer and spending time to be here with y'all this evening. And then together we share the responsibility of staying on time. So hopefully we can end promptly at 9 p.m. General operations of this meeting. To seek the floor for any reason, please raise your hand by selecting the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Our chair, Ryan, will call on raised hands in the order that they appear. And once you've spoken, please lower your hands. If you are joining us from a mobile device such as a phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand on your phone. And whenever an item on the agenda will be voted on, the general chat will be disabled, but you're still able to message the host directly if you need help. And if, as Ryan mentioned earlier, if you need help with your voting code, please email tally@43rddemocrats.org. And we will be streaming it. We are live streaming it to YouTube right now. So for all joining on YouTube, we're happy that you're here and welcome. So we follow Robert's Rules of Order for our meetings. There are a set of parliamentary procedures that we use to conduct our business. You don't need to know all of the details to participate, but if you'd like to contribute, please raise your hand and we'll help you form your request into a motion in real time. You have the right to participate as a full member in our meetings. If you need us to slow down and explain what's going on, please raise your hand and ask, and we'll help navigate the best we can. And if you are the absolute best at parliamentary procedure, please use those powers for good and consider the impact when making complicated motions. As I said earlier, we're hoping to end at 9 p.m. So some of the most common things to know are point of order. When you think that rules are not being followed, you can raise a point of order and just say what it is that isn't being followed. There's a point of information used to ask questions relevant to the topic that we're discussing, and a point of privilege used if you need to make adjustments so that you can participate. Like if you can't hear someone, or if you can't access something, or if you need more time to finish your vote.
Thank you, Emily.
Thanks,
okay.
Cal.
And I'm going to check real quick now in with Liam. One more time, for those of you who just joined us, if you have not yet, please go into the chat. You will find a link to a form to sign yourself in to the meeting. This is how we know that we have enough members here to reach quorum. So please use your voting code and throw it into there. Your voting code was sent to you in an email that came out yesterday. And if you are not able to find it, send an email to Tally@43rd Democrats. Checking in with Liam to see if we have quorum.
We are currently 7 short.
7 short of quorum. Okay. Let's see what we can do. So let's give everyone another second. If you are here and you have not yet signed in, please make sure to use that link in the forms. While we're waiting for people to do that, we can't approve the agenda or approve our minutes yet, but I will just start sharing some information while people are getting that all figured out. Again, if you don't have your voting code, email tally@43rddemocrats.org and then use that to sign in. A couple of updates for you all while we're getting that done. Number one, I wanted to give an update on the Crisis Care Center location and Broadway. We passed a resolution on this a few months back. Since then, we've sent 484 letters in support of this location, which is definitely, I think, a record for us in terms of getting emails sent out. Mayor Harrell, since we started writing letters, Mayor Harrell has sent a preliminary letter of support to the King County Council, which was one of the steps that was necessary. And the King County Council Budget and Fiscal Committee voted last week to send it forward to the full council. So the next step will be for the full King County Council to vote in early October. That will give the power to the county branches to move forward with the acquisition of the building. So we are well on the way of moving this location forward, which is great. If you have not yet sent that email, you'll see it, continue to see it in our Sunday email. Please send it out. The King County Council needs to hear from all of us that we want them to continue to move this forward. Yes, Liam.
Just wanted to give you a heads up that we just got quorum.
Excellent. Okay. So first, let me share the agenda for everyone in the chat so that you all can follow along. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda through acclamation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Thank you all. Next up is to approve the minutes for the July meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve this agenda by unanimous consent.
So moved.
Price moves.
Or
Thank you,
seconded.
Price. Seconded. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, July minutes approved. Thank you. And also, if you have not been following the minutes, Frederique, our secretary, takes amazing minutes, so they are worth checking out. And if you ever miss a meeting, go there. You will get all the information that you need. They're very well organized. Okay, back into the chair report. We have a lot of opportunities coming up in the next 7 weeks to support our endorsed candidates. You are going to get an email from me every Wednesday until the election happens with those opportunities. So please join us at one of our co-hosted canvases. We're going to be hosting a canvas with Katie Wilson on September 28th, October 11th, October 25th, and November 1st. We'll be hosting a canvas with Dion Foster on October 18th and October 26th. I'm working with Erica Evans to get one for her and Gurmai to also get one for him. Also excited to announce the return of our Pancakes for Progress event. We try to make it annual. We're going to do our best to make it an annual event now. This will be on October 5th from 10 a.m. to noon at Casa Latina. It is a great excuse to use the streetcar because it drops you off like a block away from this location. So if you've been looking for an excuse to use the streetcar and use public transit, here's a great one. We are going to have pancakes and other breakfast items for everyone. We will have our slate cards printed and ready for all of our PCOs or anyone else who wants to canvass using our slate cards in your neighborhood to pick those up. We're co-hosting this event with the 34th, 36th, 37th, and 46th LD. We are working on, we have a couple of candidates who have already confirmed that they're coming, and we'll hopefully have some more. I know Vivian's here, and Vivian's already signed up to come, so we're excited to have Vivian there. And also wanted to give you all a heads up that in addition to printing these slate cards for you all to hand out, that'll have a list of all of our endorsed candidates. This is for our PCOs and also for any members who want to canvass their neighborhoods. We'll also be doing a mailing of our slate cards to high renter precincts that don't have a PCO. So areas of our district where we know that there's a lot of renters, we have a hard time reaching them, and we don't have a PCO to take the lead on getting into those buildings, we will be doing a mailing campaign for our slate cards to them. And then finally, just another reminder that we have a couple openings on our board for the 43rd. If anyone is interested in joining us and supporting keeping all of this work going, we are recruiting for a meeting and events chair, which helps to plan these meetings and helps to plan events like our social that we had in August. and will help plan our winter social. We're also recruiting a membership chair. So if you're someone who likes to get to know people, welcome them into the space, help them get connected with the different committees that we have, I'd love to have a conversation with you. So feel free to shoot me an email at chair@43rddemocrats.org. Happy to just have a conversation, talk through what the position is like, the number of hours, what it's a commitment for, all those sorts of things. Yeah, please don't throw the chairs at me. Although, always get to practice dodging. But yeah, if you're interested, reach out. Love to have a conversation with you all. Okay, with that, we are going to move on to our endorsements. So let me do a quick screen share, and I'm going to do a very brief review of our endorsement process for everyone. Okay. So, open this back up so I can see everyone. Who can vote in our endorsement process? So in order to vote, you must be a member of the 43rd or a PCO. New members had to join 10 days ago, and returning members can join at any time. You should all have a voting code. It's the same voting code that you used to check in for the meeting. And so that will be what you need in order to vote. And that is how we confirm that you are a member or a PCO. So have that voting code ready and handy. We are going to have 4 endorsements up at our meeting tonight. School Board Position 2, School Board Position 5, the Family Education Levy, and the Seattle Shield Initiative. For our 2 school board positions, the way it will work is each candidate is going to get 2 minutes to speak. Candidates are going to speak in alphabetical order. We do not have to do nominations because there's only 2 candidates in each of these spots. So we will just have them go in alphabetical order. There are no statements against candidates. It's just their 2 minutes for each of them. Candidates may defer any amount of their time to other speakers if they wish. And then a note that candidates get 30 seconds to respond if there's a specific negative statement or ad hominem attack clearly directed against them. When we're for voting, after each candidate has spoken, we will open up the ballot. You may vote for as many candidates as you like, and each candidate that receives 60% of the vote, not counting abstentions, will receive the endorsement. So 60% is our line. Not counting abstentions, we do count if you vote none. So as a reminder, abstention, it doesn't count. It means you're sitting the vote out. You don't want to be counted towards the total. If you vote none, then you're voting that you don't think the 43rd should endorse any of these candidates, and so you want to still be counted in making that 60% threshold, but you don't think we should endorse any of the candidates. Please do not endorse both a candidate and none, or a candidate and abstain, or none and abstain at the same time. It will make our program unhappy, and then Liam will have to go and fix things, and Liam has enough things to manage tonight as we're doing all of this. So an example, please do not do this top left. Don't put none and abstain. Don't do abstain and a candidate. You can vote for one candidate. You can vote for multiple candidates, or none, or abstain. And then finally, we do have 2. We have a levy and an initiative that we are going to hear about tonight. When it comes to these, there will be up to 2 speakers, 1 for and 1 against. Each speaker gets 2 minutes to present their position. And then we will do a straight yes or no vote. Actually, I think those also have abstentions and none. I don't know if there's a none. Liam, do we have a none when it comes to a resolution? I think it's just yes, no, abstain.
For resolutions, it's yes, no, or abstain.
Okay, so yes, no, or abstain. You pick one of those, and again, it's 60% for our endorsement, and there are no reconsideration votes for any of the endorsements this evening. Okay, real quick, if anyone has any questions about this process, you can use that raise hand feature. Happy to make sure we're all on the same page before we jump in. Yeah, Emily.
Ryan, I think we got what you were saying, and we could see the screen, but you did cut out a few times while you were just speaking. So I just want to make sure that we leave time if anyone has any questions.
Okay, thanks for that heads up. And if it happens again, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, will do.
Okay. Okay. Well, with no questions, we will go into our first endorsement vote. So first up is going to be School Board District 2. We have Sarah Clark and Kathleen Smith. Sarah, if you could raise your hand so we can find you if you are here. Not seeing Sarah. Okay. Not seeing Sarah. We will move on to Kathleen, and then we'll see if Sarah is here after Kathleen speaks. Kathleen, I think I saw you. Okay, excellent. Let me pin you. There we go. I'm going to put up a little timer for you. Let me put, and whenever you are ready, feel free to begin.
Oh, unfortunately, my basement did not get blurred out. Zoom is a little slow for me. Hi, I'm Kathleen Smith, and I'm running for School Board Director in District 2. I'm running because last year's closure plans demonstrated a clear need for a better approach to decision making. As a data scientist, I have a much needed skill set. The district needs more transparency and accountability, and to start with the problem to be solved, not the solution. These are all foundational to data science. I'm running because I have 2 kids, with my oldest now in kindergarten. I want them to attend a public school system that meets the community's needs. I don't want to see our public institution eroded away or see families blocked from accessing valuable services. To quote a tech slogan, we need to make easy things easy and hard things possible. Access to basic education should be easy, and for families and students that need more specialized services, we need to make their journey possible. I'm running because of the state of our nation. Now is the time to step up and strengthen our local institutions and communities. We face serious budget challenges, but we cannot afford cuts to the public education our democracy is built on. We can't afford inefficiency in our district, and we must hold ourselves accountable to invest in our students. We owe our communities quality education, and Washington State has the resources to fill in gaps in federal funding. I believe I can help strengthen our schools and school communities, looking to data-informed best practices. We need to work with our students to create learning environments where they are safe, secure, and accepted. I want a Seattle where working families are supported and our next generation is set up to thrive. I am proud to be endorsed by the Seattle Education Association, the Stranger, King County Democrats, the Alliance for Gun Responsibility, and Tech for Housing. And I would be honored to have your support in this race.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay. Unmute. And I'm going to do one final call for Sarah. If Sarah jumped on, I don't think I saw her, but do a quick scan. Okay. Not seeing Sarah here. We will go on to the vote. So into the chat will be a link to the ballot for our endorsement for School Board District 2. So you'll click on that. It'll ask you to enter your voting code. So grab that voting code that you used to check in, throw it into the slot. And then as a reminder, you can vote for multiple candidates. You can vote none, or you can vote abstain. None means you don't think we should endorse and you want this to count towards the 60%. Abstain means you are sitting this out and don't want your vote to count for or against an endorsement. Checking real quick to make sure, is there anyone who needs any support with voting codes before we continue? I want to make sure everyone who's here is able to vote. Okay, good to go. Okay, you can still continue to vote as we're filling that out. We will go into our next endorsement, which is going to be for School Board District 5. We have Vivian Song and Janice White with us here tonight. Going in alphabetical order, we're going to have Vivian go first. Let me pin you, Vivian, and put your timer up. And Okay, whenever you are ready, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, 43rd. I'm Vivian Song, candidate for Seattle School Board in District 5. I'm a current SVS parent, a finance professional, a former school board director, and a proud PCO here in the 43rd. Just yesterday, I stood alongside hundreds of high school students protesting at district headquarters. 2 weeks into the school year, the district suddenly forced schedule changes, splitting one lunch into two. That may sound small, but it really means a lot to students. It means breaking up friend groups, disrupting club meeting times, and losing opportunities to connect with teachers for help or test retakes. And the district still hasn't clearly explained why this change had to be made or why it has to be done right now. Unfortunately, this is awfully familiar pattern. Last year, we had the proposed mass school closure plan that blindsided families. The year before, it was over 30 elementary schools who were told to reshuffle classrooms in October. These kinds of last-minute disruptions erode trust and harm student learning. And still yet, I see an opportunity. With a new superintendent and a new board, we can reset. We can build trust by setting a very clear vision, not just about balancing a budget, but creating an effective budget that supports students and classrooms. We can set priorities around student safety and well-being and create a diverse portfolio of schools and programs that truly meet the needs of our students in their communities. This is exactly what those students were demanding yesterday: stability, clarity, and leadership that puts them first. I believe that I have the financial skills, the experience in governance and community engagement, and as a daughter of immigrants and someone with a hearing disability, the representation needed on the school board now. I'm proud to be endorsed by Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, Senator Jamie Peterson, Representative Nicole Macri, the labor unions representing our educators, King County, and the 32nd, 34th, 37th Dems, and I hope to earn your support tonight too. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Let me unpin you. And next up we have Janice. Let me get you pinned. Okay, and when you're ready to begin, Janice.
Thanks. I'm Janice White. I want to bring my commitment to public education, my long experience in Seattle Public Schools, and my community roots to the work of making sure that every student receives the best education to meet their full potential. I'm former president of the Seattle Special Education PTSA, and I'm an attorney who's been practicing for over 40 years with experience analyzing data, and I know how to ask questions to uncover information. I have 3 kids who all attended Seattle Public Schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. My top priority is to address the budget issues based on our community values and avoid financial oversight by the state. We need to bring back the Finance Committee, add ex officio members from the community who can help with analysis, and bring back regular reporting about spending by district departments, along with benchmarking of other districts. The school board needs to understand how the district is spending the money it has in order to make sound budget decisions to improve its fiscal situation. We need to address student safety. Garfield High School has seen significantly fewer incidents on campus with additional school security personnel, additional mental health support, and an MOU with Community Passageways, a violence interruption organization. We should build on these strategies, which are demonstrating results, and not add armed school resource officers in our buildings. We need to rebuild trust in the community and insist on transparency. As a school board director, I'll meet with every school community in my district. I'll work with community organizations involved with youth, and I will hold community meetings. I know that it's difficult to distinguish between candidates in school board races, but candidates from the community should be able to run for the school board without a PAC making large independent expenditures to support them, especially when that PAC has a narrow agenda, not about education, that many people disagree with. I'm endorsed by the Seattle Times, and while not endorsed by them, the stranger said that I was whip smart on every school board issue. I would be very honored to have your support.
Thank you, Janice. Okay. So in the chat, we will put the link for School Board District 5. Thank you to both Janice and Vivian. I love when we get to this point in the race because everyone's 2-minute stump speech is like on point because you'll have gotten to use it so often, I'm sure. So click into the form in the chat, copy in your voting code. Again, you can vote for both candidates, only one candidate. If you vote none, you are voting that you think we should not endorse in this race. And if you vote abstain, you are sitting out of the endorsement process, but don't want to count against the 60% threshold needed for an endorsement. So give everyone a few seconds on that one. Okay, and while we are finishing up that vote, I'm going to put out a final call. Is there anyone who did not get to vote on School Board District 2, but wanted to? Anyone who did not get to vote on School Board District 2, which was our first endorsement? Okay, seeing none, then I will close. Oh, yeah, Adam. Adam, do you need help with a voting code? Do you need the link to link for the ballot, or you just need a little more time?
Sorry, thanks. I couldn't unmute. I just want to make sure there wasn't the check-in link. I missed that where we put the code in, and I'm sorry if we changed the process this time.
No, no worries. Good question. Yes. Oh, nope. Everyone ignore that. Delete that. That's what happens when you try to copy something and then
Too many copy paste. Yes. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. That was it.
No worries. Liam, could you repost since apparently if I try to copy things, I just copy my voting code. Let me see if I put this correctly. Okay, there, thank you. So Liam threw it into the chat. Feel free to do that check-in. And I believe that you need to do that check-in before you can vote. So we'll keep School Board District 2 open so that you can do the check-in and then do the vote for District 2 and make sure you get counted. So while we're waiting for that to close that one out, we'll move on to our next endorsement, which is the Family Education Preschool and Promise Levy. Gisela, are you here? Yes, okay. We're going to pin you. And it's a reminder, the way that our levy endorsements work is there will be 2 minutes for a statement in support. And then if someone wants to speak against, they will have 2 minutes as well. Let me get my timer up and whenever you are ready.
Thank you. So my name is Gisela, and I'm here to speak in favor of Proposition 1, the Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy in Seattle. And this is not only the renewal of the levy, but it's also an expansion of it, and it builds on the impact that the levy had when it was approved by voters on 2018, which expanded preschool access, school-based health services, mental health supports, and tuition-free college pathways. So this renewal, as I said, it's expanding by doubling affordable childcare. The levy doubles assistance for families struggling with childcare costs, serving around 1,400 families and stabilizing the childcare workforce by helping sustain childcare workers. The levy also supports early learning programs that reduce inequities and help kids enter kindergarten to be ready to learn. Also, it keeps kids healthy. It adds in-school health clinics, ensuring that students in 34 Seattle public schools can access medically accurate consultation and care, including on-call behavioral health counseling. And the levy invests also in summer and after-school programs that provide safe, nurturing places to learn. Lastly, the college and career readiness part of the levy maintains the Seattle Promise, a program that offers free 2-year tuition for any Seattle high school graduate at Seattle colleges with pathways to 4 years degrees. And the levy adds outreach to help kids interested in skilled trades and other family wage jobs. A lot of kids already depend a lot on this levy. We already got supports from the 34, the 37 LD Dems and more organizations, and we hope to as well in your endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you, Gisela. Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak against our endorsement of the Family Education Preschool and Promise Levy? Going once, going twice. Okay. So given that there are no statements against, And given that no one wants to speak against, I would entertain a motion for us to endorse the levy by acclamation, which would mean that we all support this levy, and we want to say loudly and clearly that the 43rd stands behind increasing or maintaining and then increasing the funding for all of these important education services.
So moved.
So moved by Justin. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Daoud. Second. Any opposed to endorsing the Family Education Preschool and Promise Levy by acclamation? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, then the 43rd officially acclaims our loud support for this levy, and we'll do what we can to get it across the finish line. Thank you, Gisela, for coming and sharing information about it. And I know we're gonna try to create a little bit more space at our October meeting to learn a little bit more about it. So we'll get some more details so that we can all share that with all of our friends and make sure that they're also voting yes on this levy, so we can have a resounding support for it when it comes to November. Okay, Adam, can I get a thumbs up from you if you were able to do the check-in and finish voting in School Board District 2? Excellent. Okay, so with that, I will close the ballot for School Board District 2. And then is there anyone who has not yet had the opportunity to vote for School Board District 5 that would like to? Last call for School Board District 5. Okay, seeing none, I will close the ballot for School Board District 5 as well. We're going to give Liam just a little bit of time to get all of those results together. While he's doing that, we'll move on to our final endorsement, which is the Seattle Shield Initiative. I believe our interim policy and advocacy chair, Jacob, is going to speak to that one.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So I'm here to explain what the Seattle Shield Initiative does and why we're asking to endorse. So the Seattle Shield Initiative is now called Proposition 2, and it will be on ballots this November. So Prop 2 cuts the city's business and operations, or B&O taxes, for most local businesses while asking the largest corporations to contribute a bit more so that we can protect essential city services without new taxes on residents. And here's basically how it works. Prop 2 raises the B&O threshold and standard deduction to $2 million in gross receipts. That means a business like a neighborhood cafe, salon, bookstore that makes under $2 million would pay nothing in the city B&O tax. And many mid-sized firms would pay less. About 90% of businesses would end up getting relief. Revenue above $2 million is taxed at a modestly higher rate for the biggest firms, and independent and city estimates put new revenue at around 80 to 81 million per year. The money will be used to stabilize core services like emergency shelters, food access, and gender-based violence programs, the kind of programs that are at risk under, federal uncertainty. And Prop 2 is a targeted local solution that avoids a general tax hike on residents. So for these reasons, we're asking you to endorse Prop 2, the Seattle Shield Initiative. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. And the only thing I would add is that this proposition was put forward by Alexis Mercedes Rink, who is a council person that we've endorsed for this upcoming election. Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak against endorsing Proposition 2, the Seattle Shield Initiative? Going twice. Anyone who wants to speak against the Seattle Shield Initiative endorsement? Final time. Okay, seeing none, and seeing that there was no statement against, I would entertain a motion to endorse the Seattle Shield Initiative through unanimous consent.
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Okay, multiple seconds. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, the 43rd LD Dems endorse Proposition 2, the Seattle Shield Initiative. Okay, and now I'm going to pass it over to Liam, who hopefully has our results from our 2 endorsement votes.
I sure do. All right, so for Seattle School Board District 2, let's see. Kathleen Smith received 16 votes. Sarah Clark received 7 votes. None of these candidates received 1 vote. Out of a total of 28 votes cast, Kathleen Smith meets the 60% threshold required for endorsement.
Congratulations, Kathleen. We look forward to working with you, and also we will make sure to get you on our slate card.
Awesome. And then for School Board District 5, Janice White received 15 votes. Vivian Song received 20 votes out of a total of 35 votes cast. Vivian Song meets the 60% threshold required for endorsement.
Congratulations, Vivian. We look forward to working with you. And also everyone can come and have a conversation with Vivian at Pancakes for Progress on October 5th. Okay. With that, we have we've done all of our endorsements and we got done 5 minutes early. I love it. Let's keep this record going. Thank you for all of our candidates for coming out and for everyone who came to speak for all of those endorsements. Next up, we have wanted to do a quick budget update, and then we have a budget amendment to vote on. I'm going to do a quick screen share for you all. I know everyone loves numbers so much, so I'm going to do my very best to make this pretty straightforward. So this is a summary of our budget as of right now. While we're here looking at the budget, can everyone please give a big round of applause to Elizabetta, our treasurer, who has been working so hard, not only to keep things like the spreadsheet up to date, but the amount of reporting that we need to do to the Public Disclosure Commission, because we are a PAC, requires just a lot of extra work. And so Elizabetta does a lot of things behind the scenes to make sure that we are on the up and up with all of our finances. And we've got good news. So this is a summary of where we're at right now. This top part right here is our receipts. We expected to bring in around $11,000 in terms of revenue this year, $5,000 from membership dues and $6,000 from fundraising. I'm excited to announce that we have already surpassed this amount. Our membership dues are at $6,600, and we brought in almost $5,500 from our fundraising event. So we have already surpassed what we expected to bring in revenue. We're about $1,000 over, which is great. On the expenditure side, we budgeted that we would spend about $19,000 over the course of the course of this year, knowing that we were going to be spending a little bit more than we brought in, because we anticipated that this was a rebuilding year, and especially like rebuilding things like Ballots and Bubbly was, a step towards building more fundraising events in the future. Year to date so far, we have spent a total of $8,000. And all of these categories right here, this is the amount that we budgeted in the original budget. This right here is how much we have spent so far. The budget proposal is an ask for you all to shift some money out of some of these buckets. And the main reason for this is our meeting and events budget is becoming larger than we anticipated because of the additional events that we're running. So far this year, we rented we rented a theater for our first hybrid meeting. We are aiming for our October meeting to also be hybrid. In addition, we had our August barbecue, and we have our upcoming winter party in December. And so we have already spent through the budget for meetings and events. So if we want to make those events happen, make a hybrid meeting in October, and still have money for our winter party, we're going to need some more money within that category. On the upside, there are certain categories like our committee support and our advocacy budget, our exec operations, our fundraising, and our communications budget where we've been underspending. And so we're not asking to increase the amount of the budget, but what we are asking for is to adjust. Liam had a question. Point of order for what is the mutual aid intended to be used for as a set? Yeah. So the mutual aid budget is for support to mutual aid groups around the 43rd. We have a mutual aid subcommittee that has been meeting. They've had a couple of meetings at this point. They're pulling together a list of different mutual aid groups around the area. As of right now, we have only distributed, they've only voted to distribute about 300 of those dollars, and it went to an organization that was distributing water bottles during the heat wave in August. Other groups that are going to, like, when they vote on additional groups to provide support to, we will bring that back to all of you to let you know. Also, there is an upcoming mutual aid subcommittee meeting next Monday. And so if you're interested in being involved in where that money gets distributed and helping us choose groups that are supporting members of our community directly, everyone is free to join that committee, and we would love to have a few more people there to help expand the perspectives and make sure that we're picking groups that everyone feels comfortable with. And so while we are a PAC, not all of our funding is actually PAC funding. A lot of our funding actually falls outside of what we would need to be a PAC to do. They're just our general operations, including things like mutual aid. But because we are a PAC, we still have to report on a lot of that. It also depends on which of our different financial accounts it comes from. There was a period of time where the 43rd was not a PAC, and so we have money in a separate account that is designated as our non-PAC account. We can use that for things like the summer barbecue or things that don't touch at all on endorsements or get out the vote efforts. The PAC account gives us the flexibility to do things like we could potentially donate money to campaigns. We don't have that in the budget this year. But PAC money will also be used for things like our mailers. So when we send out our slate cards and mail those out, or when we print those, that will come from our PAC account and that PAC money. Hopefully that gives some clarification. So you might notice that our Get Out the Vote budget is still pretty big, and we've not spent most of it. That's because the bulk of that money is going to be going to printing our slate cards. We will be printing slate cards for all of our PCOs, for members who want to distribute them, and then also be doing a mailing. So the bulk of that money is set aside right now to do that Get Out the Vote effort. About 150 of that will also be used to support the Pancakes for Progress event. The only other expenses that we have upcoming are going to be in that meeting and events line, and that is going to be the rental fee for what location we choose for our October hybrid meeting, and then a couple $100 to support our winter party in December. Want to open it up for anyone who has any other questions on the current state of the budget. And you can feel free to use the raise hand feature and either ask about where we're at right now or any clarifications on this proposed budget amendment. Yeah, Erin.
Hi, yes, I'm Erin, and I'm interested in hearing more about how we propose partnerships with we're doing mutual aid in Cal Anderson Park, and it would be to like submit our group to consideration. What we really believe in is it's queer-led group ministering to the folks who are queer in the park, and it seems like a better fit than some of the more there's some organizations that are not supportive of all identities, and they're the ones taking care of this population, and it seems like something that we could step in and work with.
Yeah, I'd love to get you connected with our mutual aid chair, so I will grab his email for you, and then also would love to see if you're available at our mutual aid subcommittee meeting to have you join us so that you can tell us more about your group and we can figure out how to distribute funds. Any other additional questions on either the update from the budget or this proposed amendment to the budget? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve this budget amendment by unanimous consent.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Bryce. Do I have a second? Second from many seconds. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, thank you all. Our amendment to the budget is approved. And I look forward to letting you all know where our hybrid meeting in October is going to land. Okay, go back to the next up. We have some quick appointments. I need to do a quick check right now If you are a PCO and you have not signed in yet, if you could please make sure that you sign in, because one of the appointments that we would like to do this evening requires a quorum of PCOs. I'm going to check with Liam in just a second to see if we have that. But if you are a PCO and you have not yet signed in, please make sure to go and use that sign-in link. We'll throw it into the chat one more time, and you can use that to sign in so that we can see if we have a quorum of PCOs, because one of our appointments requires that. But one that does not require that is a appointment of Jacob Hansen. Jacob has been acting as the interim policy and advocacy chair after Arisa had to step down. Arisa is super involved in a ton of things and just did not have the capacity that she wanted to be fully involved in this position. And so Jacob has been stepping up and helping support things like getting our resolutions going, and supporting people in writing those, and helping us to be organized. You might have noticed that we've had some more calls to action coming out in our Sunday emails, and Jacob has been helping to get those together so that everyone's aware of ways that they can be involved and engaged. Jacob, I'm going to hand it over to you if you'd like to do a quick little introduction of yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I've really enjoyed being a part of the Policy and Advocacy Committee and working alongside Arisa. I was maybe like an unofficial co-chair when she was off traveling, doing her awesome work that she does. And I really enjoyed getting to know the community by helping them draft resolutions on the ideas that they brought to us. And yeah, trying to get the Policy and Advocacy Committee off the ground. If you're interested, there's a sign up in the Sunday email that goes out. And we would love to have you. And I'm excited to keep this work going. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. So I would entertain a motion that we confirm Jacob as the Policy and Advocacy Chair by acclamation, that we all fully support him jumping into this position that he's already been holding down. Would anyone make that movement?
So moved.
Thank you, Daoud.
Beat me.
Price is seconded. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay. We loudly declare that we support you, Jacob, in being our new Policy and Advocacy Chair. Thank you for stepping up into this position. Thank you for doing that work already, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. Okay, I'm going to check real quick with Liam. Liam, do we have a quorum of PCOs yet?
Unfortunately, we are still 3 PCOs shy.
Okay. So just as a heads up for everyone, John Comerford has put himself forward to be one of our King County alternate or representative alternates. John is a longtime member of the district, is involved in a lot of different things. If anyone came to the August barbecue, he hosted that at his building, and he has been looking for a way to get involved in the 43rd, has been deeply involved in politics for many decades, including running for state treasurer, and so has a lot of experience of what it's like to be a candidate, and a lot of knowledge of things that have happened through the history of our LD. I think he'll be a great addition to our team, but if we don't have enough PCOs, we can't confirm him. So we'll maybe check at the very end to see if we got up to that quorum. With that, I think we're going to move on to our next item, which is a brief presentation from Washington Public Banks. Let me see. Oh, there we go. I'm going to do a quick pin here. Okay. And would you like to, do you need screen sharing privileges?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, let me see if I can. One of us should be able to do that.
You should be able to go ahead and share now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Liam. Okay, and we'll hand it off to you.
Okay, thank you so much. And everyone can see my screen. Maybe just give me a thumbs up or Okay, terrific. So my name is Marco Roseo Rossi. I am the executive director for Washingtonians for Public Banking. We are a nonprofit advocacy group that supports public banking throughout Washington State at all levels of government. And we are going around to groups like yourself to talk to them about public banking and trying to prepare and ready people for the next legislative session. Because especially with a lot of the cuts we're seeing at the state level and at the federal level, with the one big beautiful bill, we really think this is now is the time to show people that there are alternative ways to fund some of the necessary services and resources that we need in our community. So first off, just a quick update on the organization I work for, Washingtonians for Public Banking. So the idea of public banking has been in the political ecosystem in Washington State essentially since the Great Recession, the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis. Since 2009, as I'll show, there has been a public banking bill introduced in the state legislature year after year. However, none of them got much traction. All right. Frustrated by this, there was a group of activists kind of working with the League of Women Voters who want to promote public banking. They decided to work on forming their own organization that could work on this issue 24/7. And that's where Washingtonians for Public Banking came about. We filed as a nonprofit in spring of 2022, officially became one in December 2022. So we're basically about 3 years old. So a very, very young organization. As I mentioned, I am the executive director. I am the only employee for the organization. I work part-time at it. So we are very a shoestring budget trying to do everything we can to raise this issue here in the state. So just a quick review. This is sort of the principles of public banking from the Public Banking Institute. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the main one I want to touch on just to make sure that everyone has a grasp of what we're trying to promote here. Is that how public banks work is that we give our taxes and fees to a government. We give them to a municipality or a county government or a state government. Well, they take in those taxes and fees and then they deposit in a bank. Just like when you take your check, you deposit it into a bank and then you take out the funds as you need it. What a public bank says, hey, instead of depositing in a private bank and having the private bank have access to those deposits where they can make loans, why don't we put that into a public institution and then we have control over our money? We have control over our taxes and fees, and then we can make investments in the community that we want to see. Currently, how we deposit a lot of our money into private banks, I have to say all of it through private banks out of state, and the overwhelming majority of it actually goes to large out-of-state banks. So as you can see, this is research that we have done working with some volunteers. More than half of all the deposits that go to all the local governments, they end out in banks that are mega banks. So the Federal Reserve refers to as a large bank as any bank that has over $100 billion in assets. So it's your Wells Fargo's, Bank of America, whatnot. And those banks are not chartered here in the state. They are chartered outside of the state. So this is kind of saying, hey, we have all this money that's going to these mega banks. Why don't we make sure we have it invested here in Washington State? As I mentioned before, we have had public banking legislation introduced in the state legislature every year since 2029. Bob Hasagawa has kind of been a real champion and has been consistently introducing legislation for this. He hasn't done it every year, but he's been part of the movement, part of the legislators who's worked on this every single year. The closest we got to getting legislation passed was in 2021-2022 legislative session with SB 5188. That was a bill that did get it through the Senate. However, it was a very watered down bill. Even some of the authors and sponsors of it weren't so excited about it. But a lot of the bills that we have introduced have gotten stuck in committee. Now, this last legislative session, we did see some progress on it. Normally, it would get sent to the Business, Financial Services, and Trade Committee. Well, the long session that we just had, we got it out of that committee. So it got a vote out of the committee. But it was sent to Ways and Means. So right now, it's in a fiscal committee. So one of the things we really are connecting with our supporters and our advocates is making sure to contact the Ways and Means Committee to push that vote forward and get it out of that committee and onto the Senate floor. This is a group of some of the sponsors of our most recent legislation, our main advocate for this legislation. And then this is contact information for the chair and the leadership of the Ways and Means Committee. If you go to our website, there's an opportunity to sign up and you'll get regular updates. We give out weekly updates about the organization, projects we're working on. You'll get updates about how to sign petitions and get involved so that you can contact the Ways Committee saying you support this legislation. And of course, we have all the contact information for all the members of the Ways and Means Committee that we want to make sure that people reach them and tell them to make public banking a important issue this legislative session. In addition to what's happening at state level, we are also doing some local campaigns. Like I said, we promote public banking at every level of government. And through our research, we've established that you can create a public development authority that can operate as a public bank. So a lot of times, cities and municipalities, they create public development authorities to help with economic revitalization and urban development. Recently, up in Seattle, they created the Public Development Authority to create a social housing developer. Well, it is possible under Washington law to create a public development authority as a public bank. So we've been connecting with activists in all local areas to do that, to try to have their own municipalities or county governments establish their public banks and then move their deposits into that institution. There's a lot of excitement with marrying public bank with social housing. For a lot of places, they want to have the social housing developer to deal with the housing crisis in their area. Unfortunately, not all places are like Seattle, where they have a tax base where they can get the funds because they don't have so many millionaires in their city to fund the type of development. So there's a lot of interest. We're talking with different groups about establishing a public bank to create a source of credit to the social housing developer to help them fund the necessary housing they need to get out of their housing crisis. This is a list of some of the groups, some of the cities where we've talked to. So we've talked to people up in Seattle. I say one of the mayoral candidates up in Seattle right now, she's expressed a lot of interest in public banking and exploring it in the city. We've talked to representatives of King County. There's a lot of activists in Tacoma who are really energized about this and want to take this up. Also in Bellingham. And then we have some other people in Olympia, Everett, and Spokane who have all kind of expressed interest in getting some of these campaigns off the ground. In addition to that, we do have some upcoming projects and ways you can be involved in the organization. So one thing we do is these virtual town halls. Every 2 months, we have an outside speaker who's an expert on an aspect of financial reform or public banking or some type of intellectual or expert in that area to kind of demystify finance. So we have a virtual town hall tomorrow with Dr. Ronnie Phillips, who's going to be talking about the Federal Reserve payment system. You can go to our website and our events, or you can use the bit.ly to sign up and register for that. In addition to that, I have been going around to different groups all throughout the state and doing presentations on public banking. We've designed these 3 presentations. One is understanding public banking. We talk about the history of public banking in the United States, how it works, how we can make it happen here in Washington State, what's some of the legislation that's occurred, how you can get a public banking campaign off in your local area. We also have other presentations like understanding money as a concept and why it's so important, and then also a more practical one about understanding credit cards. Nearly everyone has a credit card, but if you ask anyone to break down their credit card bill, they are completely befuddled. So we have workshops about that as well. And then finally, we are looking for volunteers. The data that I had about breaking down where our public deposits go, so where our state, municipal, and county governments are putting their money, the reason we have that data is because we have a bunch of great volunteers who are helping to organize it and doing data entry. If you want to be involved in our organization, especially if you're not someone who, maybe likes to give public speeches, but you want to contribute in some way, we are looking help from volunteers to help us with that data entry because we're trying to do it from the present all the way back to when this Treasury has data, which is in the 1990s. So we're trying to, try to get a group of people to work on that to help us filter it so we can come up with those important charts and information to show where our money's going. And then other ways you can get involved. If you're part of an organization, a union or some other organization, if you make a statement or pass a resolution in support of public banking, we put you on our website and we say, hey, this is a supporter of us as an ally of our organization. We also like it when people commit to lobbying the local governments or legislatures saying that they want to pass public banking or get a public banking campaign off in their area. We also have a bunch of events, and you can visit our website to find out more of any of our upcoming events. We have been promoting the American Monetary Institute's conference, which is starting this week. It's a virtual conference, so you don't have to go anywhere, but they're having a bunch of lectures to speak about monetary policy and fiscal policy. So you can sign up for our emails, be informed. You can also follow us on social media. We're on X, Blue Sky, Meta, and Substack. And of course, as I mentioned before, we are a very small shoestring organization. So we very much appreciate when people donate to the organization. We do have a handful of regular donators. One person donates $1,000 a month. We, of course, are very grateful for that person, but some people just donate as small as $5 a month. And we're also very, very grateful for those people as well. So if this is a cause that you feel really passionate about, you think you can make a really difference in Washington State, sign up to a regular contributor to the organization. It makes a huge difference to help us survive. All right, so that I hope that gives everyone an idea of what we're working on and why we're talking to groups such as yourself. I am available to answer questions if anyone has any to talk more about public banking.
Yeah, open it up for anyone who has questions. You can feel free to throw them in the chat or use the raise hand feature.
Well, I see in the chat, thank you for the presentation. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming and sharing this. If you would like to throw your contact information into the chat so that people can easily grab it from there.
Sure, I'll put the contact information for our website.
Perfect.
And then if you want to email me directly, I'll put that as well. And then I can also send the slides to Ryan if he wants to give them out to the group where you have them available.
Yeah, that sounds great. I can email them out in our next weekly email for everyone.
Oh, I do see one question from Ben.
Oh yeah.
So are there any impediments to public banking that we should know about? This is actually a kind of complicated question because there are some impediments with the Washington State Constitution. The Washington State Constitution has this clause, this is a prohibition of gift of public funds, that prevents the government from engaging in direct economic development. Now, there are some exceptions to that in the language of the Constitution. So ports are exempted from that. If the policy or program benefits the poor and infirm, that's exempted from that. And if the the program is considered what the courts have deemed an essential government service or essential government functions, that doesn't apply to them either. If you establish a public bank as a public authority, public development authority, you also don't have to worry about that clause because public development authorities are specifically designed to work around that clause. They are denied the power to tax or exercise eminent domain. And because of that, that clause actually doesn't apply to them. So that's why you can set up a public bank through a public development authority. It gets a bit trickier at the state level. If the state doesn't set up an independent institution, there's questions of if they could even do that. So if the state were to create a public bank, it would probably experience some confines with the Washington State Constitution. But even within those confines, there's a lot the bank could do. So the bank, if a bank has a program that benefits the poor, then that's lending that benefits the poor. Anything having to do with medicine is fine. Anything having to do with education is fine too, because the courts have considered education an essential public function. Anything that has to do, any lending to municipalities or governments, that's fine too, because the clause doesn't apply to that. And then other aspects the court has that has to do, infrastructure are all fine. So there might be some restrictions on what the public bank can do, but in general, there's a lot of lending out there that it would be eligible for.
So, well, thank you, Marco, for coming. Thank you for sharing all of that information. And everyone grab the website and email from the chat, and then I will share out those slides in our next weekly email.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, our pleasure. Okay. Always great to learn something and to dig deeper into concepts of how our government can be, better supporting people and how we can make sure that money is going to, our money is going to helping, our community as opposed to making investment bankers super rich. Okay. We are now going to move on to our resolutions. So first up, is our first resolution, which is in support of preserving Denny Blaine Park as a body-positive, queer-friendly space. Oh, great question, James. We do our banking with BECU. So the 43rd banks with BECU, so a credit union, not quite a, a public bank. But if we get a public bank built, that'll be a good conversation for the 43rd to have. Okay, so a reminder real quick, we're going to go into 3 resolutions, so just want to review the resolution process with everyone. First, what will happen is someone representing the resolution will walk us through the resolution, sharing what the resolution states and what it calls for. After they have shared what the resolution does, there will be a period for questions. Those questions are specifically about what's in the resolution. So the question period is not to share an opinion. The question period is just to ask questions about what the resolution says. So you can think of that first part as just the informative part. Here's what the resolution does, clarifying questions on what the resolution does and says. After that part, we will then open it up for comments for and against. We will have 2 minutes for each, and they have to be evenly paired. So if 2 people want to speak against, then 2 people can speak for. We will go for and against up to 3 times. We'll max it at 3 times. And 2 minutes for each. So 2 minutes for, 2 minutes against, 2 minutes for, 2 minutes against, 2 minutes for, 2 minutes against. At that point, we will then go into a vote on the resolution. If at a point people would like to make a motion to amend things, please use the raise hand feature and we will navigate that as it happens. If anyone has played Magic the Gathering, amending things acts like the stack rule in Magic the Gathering. It's the first, like whenever something happens, the next, like whatever that thing is, it has to get resolved before we go to the next layer down. Some people know what that means, and other people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Ryan. That's okay. If we get to it, we will work our way through it. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan to share about this resolution. Let me give you the spotlight. Okay. And Ryan, I can do a screen share for you while you're sharing this. So I'll just let me know when you need me to move stuff around for you.
Oh, I mean, if you just want to put the resolution on the screen and blow it up. So hi everybody, I'm Ryan Talon. I use he, him pronouns. I'm proposing this resolution to the 43rd Democrats. And to start out, I just would like to say that Denny Blaine is a very special place to me. It's like really, I don't know, it's like at the beginnings of me accepting my sexuality. Denny Blaine was like one of the first places I like went to when I finally was like really comfortable like seeing myself as a gay man, because it like very famously is like a queer space. I don't know if this was like inappropriate, but it was like apparently like once known as like Daikiki for a very long time. I've never heard it called that, but essentially it's like been seen as a queer space for a very long time. And in the last couple of years, a wealthy resident who lives next door to the park has made it his mission to basically end the way the park has been for decades because he finds it distasteful. I don't know if I don't know if people here have like followed along with the news that or the story, the saga of this man named Stuart Sloan's like vendetta against this park. But basically, according to the Seattle Times, he reached out to Mayor Bruce Harrell and asked him to do something about this park. So the Bruce Harrell asked the Parks Department to try to do something about it. Didn't happen, and finally the like neighbors around the park sued in order to have, well, I mean, what they were asking the judge who took on that case to do is just to shut down the park until like the city could come up with a plan. The court came up with sort of like compromise and asked the city to come up with some sort of like change to the park. This resolution is a resolution that says that we, the 43rd Dems, affirm that we think the park should stay the way it has always been, that we affirm that it should remain a body-positive, queer-friendly space, and that we want our representatives, our state representatives, and also our local representatives to work to continue to support that. The park is the situation. The park is still undergoing litigation, and the like what I call them. They're like it's called Friends of Denny Blaine. Apparently, it's like an organization that sort of exists under the umbrella of the Seattle Parks Department, or excuse me, the Seattle Parks Foundation. Recently put out a statement that's saying that they like, according to lawyers they spoke to, that they feel like the decision of the judge that has basically made part of the, or it has closed part of the park to nudity is illegal based off of previous judicial decisions. And so, but basically this resolution, what it does is just, it's us saying, we think the park should stay the way it always has been, and we think our elected officials should work to make that happen. And we're affirming that like this space is a precious, queer-friendly space. And so I open it up to all of you to consider.
Thank you, Ryan. Question from Ben.
Hi, everybody. So my question was relatively quick. Since we do judiciary elections in this state, I wanted to ask if sorry, I joined this here. Did we endorse the judge in this case, Samuel Chung, as the LD43 in the last election in 2024? And as a corollary to this, is there a way to tie this so that if he comes seeking an endorsement in 2028, it's a 4-year term, I just checked, that we will have this to come back to as a topic for his endorsement to need to address?
This is probably a question for me. We can go check back in our records. I would need to go dig around to see what our endorsements were in 2023 to answer that first part. In terms of the second part, it kind of depends on how we frame it. We are generally not allowed to put in a resolution something like we will refuse to endorse this person going forward. There's also a censure path. A censure path is a separate path. And that requires its own separate resolution that is specifically around censuring an individual. At a minimum, we can make a note of this judge's participation in this, and that can be something that is brought up when we have our endorsements meeting in 2028. But we can't really, I mean, we could, the most that we could potentially do is put a therefore clause in that says something like, we disagree with this judge's assessment. But we can't really do a projective into the future, we're not going to endorse this person statement. Does that clarify things, Ben?
It does. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Ben, do you have another question, or is your hand still? Okay, good. Did anyone else have any questions for Ryan? Okay. Is there anyone who would wish to speak against this resolution? Okay. Second call. Anyone who wants to speak against it? Okay. Seeing that no one wants to speak against this resolution, I would entertain a motion for us to approve this resolution by unanimous consent. Which is again saying that we agree that we as a whole group would vote this through.
So moved.
May I introduce an amendment?
Yes. So you'd like the motion to make an amendment, Ben?
Yes, motion to make an amendment.
Okay, go for it.
I would like to add a, okay, this is not well formulated. I'm sorry as I kind of talk through this, but a statement that Seattle recognized that the LD43 Democrats recognize that public nudity is legal within the state and does not constitute a public nuisance.
Okay. Do you want that to be a whereas clause where we're just stating that, or do you want that to be a therefore is usually an action, so we would add that as a whereas clause? Does that work?
Yes. Okay. Just as the case that was brought forward, my understanding is that's the grounds that it has been done on.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and we can start getting into what was it? Nudity as, what did they say?
As constituted.
As constituted, yeah, that was the what does that even mean? Okay. Yeah. So something like the 43rd District Democrats recognize that nudity is legal public space in Washington. Self to what was the word you want? It doesn't constitute
a public nuisance.
A public nuisance. Okay. This is where I have to tell. I'm not going to spell this incorrectly. I love this. I love editing people watch me type. Okay, so this is the proposal. I'm going to highlight it. In order for us to amend this, we would then have to. So first, okay, so this is how the stack works. So we've got this amendment. So now we need to have a quick discussion on the amendment. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this amendment? Bryce or Sophie?
Ryan, may I offer a friendly amendment that the state of Washington recognizes that nudity is legal in public spaces, since it's a state law instead of us?
Ben, does that work for you?
It does.
Thank you.
And then I would remove of Washington. Oh, yeah.
Places. Okay, cool. Okay, next I see Sophie. Sophie.
Yeah. Hi. So I'm actually the co-lead of Friends of Jenny Blank. So hello, everyone.
Oh.
I wonder whether I think like I don't. This is, I guess, in response to the amendment. I don't know whether the state of Washington recognizes that. Like, I'm not sure whether we can speak on behalf of the state of Washington for that. I think the legal precedent is like a little shaky. I think if we are wanting to say this, I would probably I don't know. Let me rephrase. I don't know. I feel like whereas the state of Washington recognizes that nudity is legal in public spaces is a very strong statement that I think we may want to stick to the 43rd Dems. Okay. I think might be a little safer. At least is my 2 cents.
May I offer a second friendly amendment then to reduce the language? Whereas the state of Washington does not explicitly prohibit nudity in public spaces as illegal.
I'm going to defer to Ben because this is Ben's amendment. So Ben, would you prefer state of Washington, 43rd District Democrats, or Bryce's amendment?
Or we could do it. Court precedent recognizes nudity is legal in public spaces in Washington.
Okay. So Washington State Court precedent.
Yeah.
I would be comfortable with whereas Washington State Court precedent recognizes that nudity is legal in public spaces, comma, the LD 43 and the LD 43 Democrats recognize the importance of this within the freedom of expression. Not to introduce too much of a mess, but
important means of so you said something expression and I lost it as I was typing.
And therefore not a public nuisance.
The expression and not, which I also incorrectly spelled again. Okay. Thank you, Bryce. Okay. Returning to our stack question. So there was a proposal, then someone proposed on top of that an amendment to that proposed amendment. We've now resolved that part to this part. We're back at the amendment. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this amendment as highlighted here being added to the resolution? Okay, seeing none, so we do have to do a vote on this. I would entertain a motion to amend this through unanimous consent.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second? Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, so that passes. So this is now a part of the resolution. Okay, now we go back to the original, which is speaking on this amendment, or speaking on the entire resolution. So going back to the resolution, is there anyone who would like to speak against this resolution? Going once, going twice. Okay, seeing that no one wants to speak against it, I would entertain a motion that we approve this resolution through unanimous consent.
So moved.
So moved.
So moved, and a second by Daoud. Okay, any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, this resolution is then passed. Okay, thank you, Ryan, for bringing this forward. Thank you, Ben, for your amendment. Thank you, Sophie, for giving us some clarification. And this was a great way to model how the resolution process is going to go. Okay, next up. Let me get throw into the chat the link for our second resolution. This is, that one's done, a resolution condemning Senator Maria Cantwell, commending Senator Patty Murray, and demanding both senators take concrete actions for Palestine liberation. I just want to make a quick note that this is not a censure motion. So as noted, and I'm noting it because we talked about it earlier, a censure resolution has its own track and it needs additional engagement with the person who's being censured and all these sorts of things. So this is not a censure motion. Just want to state that as we go into it. I believe, Daoud, were you going to speak to this?
Sure. I'm going to do the explainer, right?
Yeah, do the explainer. So,
okay.
Pass it over to you for the explainer.
Okay. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to go through it pretty quickly here. We are in this resolution, we are basically acknowledging Israel is committing a genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. Benjamin Netanyahu is a wanted war criminal. In 2024, Washington Democrats overwhelmingly passed resolutions at our convention to halt military support to Israel and to condemn the siege of Gaza. After that, on July 9th, Senator Maria Cantwell welcomed and took a photo with this wanted war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu. Then on July 30th, Senator Cantwell voted to continue arming Israel and went against the majority of Democrats that voted to do the opposite. So this resolution is basically saying we condemn this behavior by Senator Maria Cantwell. We are commending Senator Patty Murray for voting to stop sending weapons. And we are demanding that both Senators Cantwell and Murray, one, outline and take solid actions to stop the Israeli genocide of Palestinians, and two, support Palestinian statehood and end the apartheid regime. There's a little bit more in there, but this is the general gist of this resolution.
Excellent summary, Dawood. Thank you for walking us through that. We're now going to open it up for questions. As a reminder, this is questions about the content of the resolution. We will get to statements for and against after this. Right now, this is questions on the content of the resolution. Yeah, Sophie.
Are condemn and commend like specific terms that we have to use? Like are those specific terms? When I was reading this, I misread it and thought it was a condemnation of both of them. And and I'm wondering whether those are specific terms we're using intentionally, or if we might have two words that look a little more different in the title. I'm not sure. Was wondering if that was something that was feasible, or if these are like specifically relevant terms.
Good question. The only word that has a specific process around it is censure. Okay. So we could use, Justin just said in the chat, we could use applaud instead of commend. So good question. And if you would like to do that, hold on until all the questions are done. And then we will go into starting a stack about amending things. Bryce, question?
Hopefully this isn't out of order. Has Senator Maria Cantwell spoken after the fact about the picture at all to provide any of context from her perspective? I don't know if that's out of order.
No, that's a perfectly in order question. And Dawood, do you want to speak to that? Or if anyone wants to support Dawood speaking to that, if anyone knows.
I don't know that offhand.
And if everyone does, they can feel free to raise their hand if they have an answer to if she has spoken on the picture or her reasoning for taking the picture.
Yeah, I'm doing a quick Google search, but anyone can feel free to jump in.
I can say that I follow her social media channels, and I have not seen any statement officially from any of her social media channels, but I'm not sure if she's spoken to the press.
Thank you, everyone.
I can say that I know that she gets 500,000 from Israel, American APAC. So it does seem like another instance of our government being run by funding, kind of following the Republican track, voting based on money.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for providing some context, and we'll see if we find anything else to answer that question. Any additional questions on the content of the resolution? Okay, seeing none, our next step will be moving into statements for and against, or if someone wanted to entertain an amendment to the resolution, you could raise your hand, and this would be the time for that as well. So I will start by asking, is there anyone who would like to speak against this resolution? Anyone who'd like to speak against the resolution? Okay. Seeing none, we will move direct, and a last chance if anyone wants to do amendments. I hear Sophie on like the wording being a little different. Alter the text from, okay, so I'm seeing a friendly amendment to alter the text stating commend Patty Murray to applaud Patty Murray. Does anyone want to speak for or against that proposed amendment? So it'd just be right here. And I think it'd be one more time.
Control F. Control F is your friend.
Under the be it further resolved, it says we commend, just change that to applaud.
For these two. So applaud here and applaud here. So real quick, is there anyone, do this in order. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this change in commend to applaud? Yeah, Charlotte.
Sorry, I had to change my microphone.
No worries.
The one that's installed on my laptop to the one that I bought specifically to be a microphone. Anyway, I don't think that applaud would send the message that I think we would want. Okay. Commending sounds more appropriate for a resolution of this the vibe that we're going for with this resolution. I feel like commend fits better than applaud. I'm nitpicking here, so feel free to ignore me, but I think if it was me, I would use commend and not applaud. We're trying to send a message that we are approving of Senator Murray's actions and steps, and praising her for this, and that's the definition of commending. And so I think that an amendment of this word is unnecessary. I wouldn't do it, but that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. I see Tanya, and then I also see that Justin is willing to withdraw this, but I'll let Tanya go first. Oh, you're muted, Tanya. Let's see if I can unmute you. Yeah, I'm gonna hit a little button and it might prompt you. Should be a little button in the bottom left with the microphone. You can click on that. Oh, there we go.
Okay, I agree with the speaker that applaud sounds to me even very strange language. Applaud, we're not in the theater, you know. Command is a very strong, very powerful word, which expresses exactly what we need to encourage Person Mary to continue to be encourage good behavior of her and discourage Maria Cantwell because it's absolutely crazy what she's doing.
Okay.
So I would keep command.
Okay.
That's a good word. There's no confusion. They're completely different words. They don't mix up.
Thank you, Tanya. And I see Justin has withdrawn the proposal. And thank you, Sophie, for noting that like it is confusing and if you read quickly. But it sounds like people are fine sticking, like these words have specific intentions is what I'm hearing. So we'll now, going back down to the stack, we had no one who wanted to speak against the resolution. I would then move that we pass this resolution through, oh, yep, Paul.
See the link that I put in the chat. I would amend.
Oh, sorry, I missed this. Yep.
First, whereas to just add that the UN has also found
So add the UN right here.
Yeah, and
then cite it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me grab the source. If it lets me. See how this works. In source. Now I need to remember how to do a. Someone help me here. I'm supposed to do a reference. Oh, tools. Is it tools? Citations. Here we go. Okay. Oh, no, that's going to do.
They do not know how to add a superscript
Command
in Google.
Shift 4.
Say again?
Command Shift 4, I think.
Command?
Maybe that's copy and paste the screen, actually. Never mind.
Ryan, may I move that we add the citation later and proceed with the consideration of the amendment?
I'm going to paste it right here and we'll make it look pretty later.
Cool.
Is there anyone who's opposed to adding this reference and addition of the UN?
It's a good idea.
I think it's important. And I think also maybe we shouldn't say and or genocide. Like it is genocide.
Yeah.
It's not that it's and.
Agreed.
Yeah. It is genocide. So saying and or makes it sound like, oh, or maybe it's just war crimes, but really big organizations are saying it's genocide in the UN as well.
Yeah, genocide is a good word.
So we're adding this highlighted section and removing the or. Okay. Is there anyone who would like to, oh, Paul, do you still have your hand up or?
Yeah, I think the or is important here because of the list. I don't know that each of these have stated both. I'm sure some have. But unless we know that everyone has said both genocide and war crimes, then the and or is appropriate.
Aaron, is that okay? Or do you want to pull out the UN reference as a separate whereas?
Yeah, I like that. Because I
That
do
works.
think we do need to say that. That is genocide.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you,
works.
Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Ah, now I need to stop soon. Okay. So put this here real quick. I'm gonna copy this one. Put it here. Let me say UN. UN. What's the exact language that we hear? Committing.
Is committing an ongoing genocide.
We will add that reference in later. This and okay. So this is on the floor right now is adding this amendment. Is there anyone who would like to speak against the addition of this amendment? Going once, going twice. Okay, seeing none, I would move that we confirm this amendment through unanimous consent. Or someone needs to move that for me. Thank you, Daoud. Seconded. Okay. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay. This resolution, or I'm sorry, this whereas clause is now a part of the resolution. Okay. Going back in the stack. Final check. Is there anyone who wants to speak against the resolution? Second chance, second speak against. Third speak against. Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion that we approve this resolution through unanimous consent.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
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 Okay. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, this resolution is confirmed. Thank you all for walking through that process. We got one more to go. And I will spruce this up and make it look nice. Also, if anyone knows how to move citations from the bottom of the first page to the very bottom of the last page so that this doesn't look so clunky, we tried to find a way and we failed. But if anyone knows how to do it, please email us and we will do that as well to make it also look nicer. Okay, final resolution for the evening. Let me throw the link in the chat so you all can look at it on your screens. I'm still sharing my screen. Yes, I am. Okay. And then I'm gonna pass this back to Ryan again. Okay, Ryan, can you walk us through this resolution?
Yeah, definitely. So, everyone, we live in historically unprecedented times. I mean, maybe not unprecedented is the right word, but we're living through incredibly terrible historical times. Our democracy is under attack. There is an authoritarian fascist movement in this country trying to end our democracy. And this resolution is us insisting that our leaders do what they can at the moment to protect our democracy through gerrymandering the state of Washington in response to this fascist authoritarian movement attempting to gerrymander states around the country to essentially create like what political scientists call competitive authoritarianism is I think the proper term. It is incumbent upon our leaders to protect the type of government that we currently exist under and to use every tool possible. What this resolution calls for is for our state leaders, our governor to call a special session to try to gerrymander the state in response to the Republican Party gerrymandering Texas. I don't know if like anyone has noticed, but also Missouri and Indiana are talking about joining this group of states attempting to gerrymander for the Republican Party. The other thing about this resolution is it's not particularly radical, as the state of California is already attempting to do the same thing in response to these states. J.B. Pritzker of Illinois has talked about further gerrymandering their states. Governor Kathy Hochul has talked about gerrymandering her state. to protect our democracy from this authoritarian movement. I believe that our leaders, our democratic leaders in our state should try to do everything they can, including something like this, in order to protect our democracy. This resolution essentially like lays all these things out, asks our leaders to do this, and also just to like come back and tell us like what is your plan to protect democracy, because there is a lot of discussion about whether this is even possible with the way our legislature is currently what's the word? I mean, just like the numbers of Democrats to Republicans within the state, whether it's even possible. According to one of our former representatives of this district, Brady Walkinshaw, he seems to think it's worth giving it a try. If you look in one of my citations, he thought it was like something that we should try to do, what our state should try to do. But fundamentally, this is just us as a group saying, like, our democracy is under attack. We want our leaders to do everything they can to protect our democracy, and we want to know what your plans are to protect our democracy. But this is like the kind of like our basic idea of what you could do. But if this is not what you plan, what you don't think we could do, what are you going to do? Because we need to know what our leadership is planning to do or trying to do to protect our democracy. And that again, I open up to the floor for questions.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Charlotte, you have a question?
No, I wanted to speak against.
Oh, okay. Hold that for just a second.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions on the content of the resolution or pertinent questions to the content of the resolution? Ben.
This is kind of heading towards an amendment again, but is there a way that we can say we solely support this at the national level, don't do this at the state level, and for the duration of the crisis? In a way that would allow for us to say, like, hey, this isn't changing the independent redistricting commission model. It is solely in reaction to this one thing. And once that ends, we'll go back to normal on Congress as well.
So the resolution does just specifically state congressional districts. So we're not calling on anything beyond, or the resolution is not calling on anything beyond that. If you want to hold on to that amendment for adding a specific language around what you would like the lawmakers to do in the future around districting, then yeah, we'll get to that after the question section. But it would be an amendable thing. Okay. Any other questions on the resolution? Okay. And Charlotte, your hand is still up just because you want to speak against?
Correct.
Okay. So we will now move into the statements for and against but before we do that, if we know that there's going to be some resolutions, well, there's what I need. What I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to say, are there people who'd like to speak against? I'm seeing one. So we will go into one pro and one against statement. And then from there, we can see if there are additional motions. So I guess, here, let me get my timer going. Is there someone so Charlotte wants to speak against. Is there someone who would like to speak pro? So I'll give it so Ryan, you are allowed to speak pro for your own resolution if you would like to. Oh, you were muted, but I saw you say something, but I don't know what it was. You're good? Okay. So let me put 2 minutes up on, let me get this app up. So it's 2 minutes on both sides. We'll start with Ryan again. Let me stop the screen share, spotlight Ryan. And then when you're ready, Ryan, you get 2 minutes to speak for why you think we should pass this resolution.
Yeah, certainly. I think we should pass this resolution because our democracy is at risk, and there's very few things we can do in our 43rd body. But one of the things that we are able to do is to put out these resolutions and make it very clear where we stand on these type of issues. And I think that we should be very clear that our elected leaders should be doing everything they can to protect our democracy and following the lead of other democratic leaders in this way to protect our democracy. I've heard the counter argument that we're like stooping to their level, but fundamentally we can't bring a knife to a gunfight. Our democracy is far too precious for us to say that it's wrong to stoop to their level and that we shouldn't try to do things like this. We need to do things like this until we have defeated this authoritarian movement. I completely agree with Ben that like this shouldn't be a permanent thing. This is so not ideal. We shouldn't be in a place like this. But unfortunately, we have arrived at a place in history, in our society, in our country, where people are actively trying to end our democracy, and we have to do everything we can to protect our democracy so that when, hopefully, when we have defeated this authoritarian movement, that we can go back to improving our society, improving our government, having fair, independent redistricting commissions. But until that day, we have to fight. And that's my statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Charlotte, you have 2 minutes. Let me spotlight you. Whoop, whoop. You disappeared. Because you put your hand down. Okay, let me pin you. Okay, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, my name is Charlotte Philippe. I serve as your representative on the King County Democrats Central Committee. I'm speaking against this resolution because it just doesn't make sense in our context. We have 10 congressional seats, and I think we have really maxed out as many Democratic seats as we're gonna get. For the past couple of cycles, the 4th district, which is Dan Newhouse, has had two Republicans make it to the top 2, and the 5th district has been solidly in Republican hands since the Republican Revolution in the early 90s. I don't think that there is a way that we can redistrict in a way that's going to be held up by the courts if we're even successful in getting that adopted by a redistricting commission. And in the same vein, we have these states that are majority Democratic, like California, like New York, like Illinois, that are talking about these things, but they have the greatest number of electoral votes of Democratic states. We would maybe be able to get a additional vote, and that's if we can keep the 3rd district in Democratic hands, which is not looking the greatest. I think that it's just not feasible. It's not the task at large is not, it's not viable, and I don't think it would be a good idea to try, because I think that would give the Washington State GOP a decent amount of cannon fodder. It wouldn't, I don't think it would look good, and yeah. Anyway, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Charlotte. Okay. Okay, so we've had 1 statement for and 1 statement against. We should have thank you. The chat should be closed actually while we're having this conversation. So thank you everyone for putting additional context in there. But when we have these debates, we close the chat because it becomes a processing issue for people to try to follow a conversation in chat and to try to follow speakers at the same time. And so we try to channel it all into one format so that everyone can follow along. So if you have additional references or resources you'd like to share, please feel free to raise your hand and we can open the chat for people selectively to share particular information. Yeah, Beth.
So I just wanted to mention that there's a article in the Washington State Standard, kind of also following what was just said regarding, so Governor Ferguson has said that won't happen, that our Senate Majority Leader has said it won't happen.
Thanks for that.
So thank you.
Thank you for that context, Beth. Aaron.
I kind of like the resolution. I'm not an expert, so I'm not speaking as an elected person in this body, but I do agree that the fascists, they're not playing by the rules. And it's also the established unfortunate rules of our country that there is gerrymandering regardless. And so if people are going to be um, if people are going to be taking advantage of that to make it so that votes are systematically depriving people of color and underprivileged folks of their rights, then if we can take action against such motions, which are undemocratic, then that sounds like a good statement to make. I mean, we need to fight this fascism. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Aaron. Frederic?
Yeah, I mean, considering that Aaron's was effectively a statement pro, I believe I can make my statement against. So I personally oppose this resolution. Charlotte spoke on the merits of gerrymandering, and speaking about the practicality, redistricting in Washington requires 2/3 of the vote in the legislature, and as the Democrats, we just don't have that. So it is a non-starter. And as a part-time legislature, floor time is the most valuable commodity that we have as Democrats. And there are already so many good progressive ideas that don't make it to a vote or even a debate because we run out of time. So I agree with Ryan, the other Ryan not on screen. It is fair to ask our elected officials about their plans to protect democracy and fight Trump and this awful administration. But I would rather see them spend their valuable time to pass progressive tax reforms and protect our education and childcare and clean energy and public transit and universal healthcare, all the things that we believe in that are under attack from Republicans. And as the secretary of this organization, I will also say our credibility as an organization comes not just from pointing out the problems, but also advancing tractable solutions. So I encourage others to join me in voting against this resolution.
So I'm going to take those as a statement for and against between Aaron and Frederic because they were speaking for and against. So that's 2 on each side. What I am hearing, I'm going to interject myself a little bit right here. What I'm hearing is a general support for the need for us to do something. What I'm hearing the most contention around right now is essentially just this one therefore clause about calling on them to do the special session for the redistricting. Is there anyone, and I don't know if this is a movement or anything like this. I'm not hearing anyone who's opposed to anything else that this resolution is calling on, both naming that this is an issue and calling on our lawmakers to come up with a plan and share with us the plan of what they're going to do, since they've already stated, or at least Jamie Peterson and Governor Ferguson have already stated that that they're not going to do this. I'm not hearing anyone who's opposed to going to them and say, okay, you say you're not going to redistrict. What's your plan? What are you going to do? Am I does that sound aligned with where people are at? Just trying to get a sense. Okay, so all of that said, we have space for one more pro and con, or if anyone wants to make a movement. Otherwise, we will go to a vote. So I'm going to start by asking, is there anyone else who would like to speak? We've got one more slot for someone to speak against. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. And then is there anyone who would like to make a final movement to amend or modify this resolution before we can take it to a vote? Okay, seeing none, this will go to the ballot. Knowing that we had statements pro and against, we will actually vote on this one because it's not going to pass by unanimous consent if people have said a no statement. So Liam will throw the link in there. Those voting codes that you were using earlier are going to be necessary. Give Liam just a second.
Sorry, switching between 1,000 tabs. Give me just a sec.
Totally understandable, Liam. Also, while we're waiting, can everyone give a round of applause for Liam? These endorsement votes in particular, like these endorsement days, also every single vote that we just did, or most of those votes that we just did where we did like unanimous consent or acclamation, he had to have a ballot ready to go for those in case that didn't happen. So he's like, Liam is just constantly doing a ton of work on the back end to make this all happen. Okay, we've got the form in the chat. So again, make sure that you enter your voting code. And as a reminder, abstain means that you do not want to be counted towards the total. And for resolutions, it needs to be a majority. So yes is you pass the resolution, no is you don't want to pass the resolution, and abstain is you want to sit this out and you don't want to be counted one way or the other. It takes 51% to pass a resolution. Okay. We are right at 9 o'clock. I'm going to give everyone another minute or two to get their vote in, and then Liam to total it. Real quick, do any of our officers have any announcements or committee reports? Real quick, we already got an update from finance. Jacob is not here for elections, but you will get an email from me tomorrow with lots of opportunities to get involved. David's not here. Justin, do you have anything?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay, Derek, you got anything? I guess that's a no. We can circle back. No. Jacob, policy and advocacy.
We're doing it right now. Keep the resolutions coming. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Yes, and we are trying really hard to build out some different support mechanisms. Jacob's been taking the lead on that. So if you want to write a resolution, but you're not quite sure how to do it, please reach out. We are here to support you. Our job is to help you get that resolution to the floor. Mutual aid subcommittee. I don't think Jeff is here, but the next meeting is going to be next Monday. So anyone who would like to join next Monday to help us continue to figure out. Jeff's got 3 really strong buckets of work that we're doing in the mutual aid subcommittee and a lot of good ideas. So if you're interested in getting involved, reach out. Oh, Derek, I see you on camera now. Do you have any updates?
No.
Okay. And then any of our King County reps, any updates?
I can give super brief. In the most recent meeting, we approved a slate for vice chair positions for like if the chair is out. And then we also discussed a mailer from California, which was from the California Progressives, who were requesting that California does not do redistricting, which was rather surprising from progressives. So very similar discussions happening here. And then we also approved Stephanie Fain, an endorsement for Stephanie Fain for the D5 King County Council, which took a lot of our time as we were discussing the pros and cons. And then finally, we approved an emergency resolution for denouncing the arrest of Mohammed Zahid Chaudhry and the demand for his release from ICE.
Awesome. Thank you, Bryce. And you all probably saw the call to action from our mutual aid committee around supporting Melissa and Zahad's family. And then finally, our state reps. Dawood, any announcements?
We have our state committee meeting happening next weekend. So there will be resolutions and things like that and rules and all that fun stuff. And I'll be going there with Amy in Vancouver.
Yeah, thank you, Dawood and Amy. They get a whole weekend full of this. So everyone give them
hello.
Hello.
Yes, we've just listened to this whole discussion and wanted to vote.
Yeah,
but
Michael,
the chat is disabled. How do you vote if the chat is disabled?
There's a link in the chat, Michael. The last link that was posted in the chat.
You mean the forms thing?
Yep, that forms. Yep, that forms link. Yep. So I'll give you another minute or two to vote on that. Beth, do you have a question?
We're trying here.
We're here to support you, Michael. Thanks for letting us know so that we can make sure that you get your vote in.
Code, sign in.
Okay, mute them real quick. Yeah, Beth.
Yeah, I was like to talk to Jacob. Could you drop your email in the chat? I'm working on a resolution for directing the Seattle Public Police Department to be proactive in protecting us from abuses from federal agents. And I'd like to work with you on that.
Absolutely. It'll be in the chat in a moment.
Love it. This is what it's about. Okay. Michael, I want to check in real quick. Did you all get a chance to vote on our third resolution? Check in real quick before we close the ballot. Is there anyone else? Let me just open it. Is there anyone else who has not gotten to vote on the resolution that would like to? Oh, yes, and thanks for that shout out, Frederic. The resolutions have to be submitted 14 days to be considered timely. So, and when you connect with Jacob, Jacob will let you know when those dates are. Okay, just going to check one more time. Ben.
Are we planning on considering resolutions at the next meeting?
That's a great question. The challenge is if it's a hybrid meeting, it becomes infinitely more difficult for us to vote. It is not out of the question, but what we will ask is we will do it if it is a timely resolution. That means that's one that needs to pass in October and could not wait until November. If it's an issue that can wait until November, we will probably ask if that is okay. The focus of our October meeting will be allowing our endorsed candidates to come and engage with you all. I'm hoping that we'll actually have a little bit of social time built in. So instead of a 2 solid hours of this meeting, we'll have a chunk of time for everyone to just mingle with our endorsed candidates and hear from them. And we're going to be focusing on getting you all more information about both our endorsed candidates, the levy that we just supported, and the SHIELD initiative, and focus on how we can be rallying around the Get Out the Vote effort. And then in November, back to normal order online. And have some more space for resolution. So we can fit a resolution in there if it's timely and we need to, and we've been building out a system to do that. But we will ask for it to be held to November if it could be held to November, just to save Liam mostly a giant headache. But thanks for asking that, Ben. Okay, Michael, were you able to use the link and get your vote in? You could give us a thumbs up, or you can do a final call, Michael. Okay, not seeing anything. So, and we're already over time. So with that, I will call the vote to a close. Liam, when you have the opportunity, if you can share the results with us.
All right. On that resolution, there are 5 yes votes and 14 no votes. The resolution is not adopted.
Okay. Thank you, Liam. And thank you, Ryan, for bringing that forward and the work that you put into that. Okay. With finally, we have any good of the order, any final announcements before we close the meeting out? Okay, seeing none, you'll all get an email from me on Wednesday with all of our canvassing opportunities and then our typical Sunday email with all of our other announcements and ways to get involved. We will let you know as soon as we have landed our location for our October meeting. Please reach out to Jacob if you're looking for some resolution stuff. And then we have a link to join our committees if you're looking for additional ways to get involved. And with that, I will call our meeting to a close. Thank you all so much. We're essentially on time. And I appreciate everyone's civility as we worked through some these different resolutions and shared different perspectives. And I think that they're stronger for everyone providing that input and those modifications. Okay, thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Good night, everyone.